You're on.
Negative K, nothing further, just Kitty Candy in the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, July 31st, the last day in the month of July, 2025. We are Roll Call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. I'm here with a few of my friends. I got D with us. I got AC. I got Derek. I got Ty. I got Cheech. I got Dave. I got Will. I got Rich. And I got Jim. Good to see each and every one of you. Before we even get started, we want to start with a moment of silence for those who are lost. We just lost one, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes also in New York City. We'll talk about that, but let's have a moment of silence. All right, amen. We're praying for um the families of lost ones and loved ones and all that are involved that have to deal with this tragedy each and every day and even years to come that you have to deal with it. So we're praying for those families. We're gonna have disclaimer by Cheech and I'm gonna ask Rich to do a statement of purpose.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, we wanted to go over a couple of things. First, we want to let you know that the comments made by members of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They are not intended to be legal advice or suggestions. Remember that the laws change from village to village, state to state. So please check with a local attorney or your local police department for any legal advice. Also, this panel does display videos and photographs, some of which may be graphic in nature. They are integral to spark our conversations. They are not intended to offend anybody. I'm sorry, but the dog threw me off. They are not the property of Roll Call. We get these videos from social media like YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and all that good stuff. If there is one that is graphic in nature, a member of the panel will let you know ahead of time. Also, the language used by members of Roll Call is very spontaneous. It is our truth. We don't hold back. We don't take offense to it. So we don't want you to take offense to it. You will see that sometimes we among our group do not agree with each other, but we never take offense to it. So we hope that you don't. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will try to get to them at some point. Thank you for joining us. Rich?
Thank you, Cheech. Good afternoon and welcome. We are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We are a pro-law enforcement group. We believe in equitable policing. We're against racism, and Black and brown lives matter. We're glad you're here with us today. Thank you.
All right, thank you both, Cheech and Rich. Thank you for joining us. Before we go any further, we just want to say that we're still praying for JT and his wife, Orlando. I know his wife, I think, is in the hospital today. I think I saw something on Facebook in regards to that. So we want to pray for her. We're still praying for Derek's mother-in-law, Ann Parrish, who's with I think she's actually staying with them right now. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna make sure we keep her in prayer. Pray for me. I got a procedure in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll be at the hospital in the morning. So y'all pray for me. But then, for me, more importantly, we want to thank God for bringing Mark Matthews home. He's one of ours. He hasn't been here in a couple of weeks. We want to thank God for bringing him home. He's been in the hospital for 11 days. 11 days, and I think Will over there playing with something over there. He changing your stuff for him, D.
Bad. My bad. I thought I was doing it just for mine. I'm sorry.
But we're praying for Mark Matthews, his wife, his grandson, his daughter, Cree. We're gonna keep them in prayer. It's just so good to hear. And he sent us a message that he's home now. So pray for his recovery. Amen. All right. Anybody with anything before we get started? Okay, that background is a little bit different still, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hazy blue.
I don't know what Will's doing over there.
Let me see if I can switch it back to what it was. That's on me. That's
switch
on
back
me.
to normal.
Listen. See,
hey.
there we
No,
go.
that wasn't it.
I gotta say that.
You get it from there.
I like that better than the blue. It was better than the blue.
Go back to your normal, because
to none or something. Yeah.
There we go.
Better than that blue.
The normal.
It's like a Smurf.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
It's not changing my background for me. It's changing the background for the meeting.
Yeah.
Unless
I remove you as a co-host, then you probably can mess with your own stuff. I don't know.
Oh, man. You might have to remove him and bring him back.
It doesn't change on Facebook though. It stays black on Facebook.
It sure does. All right, well listen, we're gonna move forward.
There we go.
Anybody with anything to say before we get started?
I got one thing. I don't know if you covered it because I didn't get on early enough. About the officer that was arrested by ICE, the police officer.
Yeah, we've done our homework. Yeah, we've done.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, guys.
Good to see you, Kyle. Good to see you, Jim and Rich, because I didn't get to speak to either one of you guys when you came on. So good to see you guys. We're gonna start though with the shooting that took place in New York City. D, you want to give us a little background on that before we head into that?
I got you. So for those that don't know, there was another mass shooting here in New York City. I think at 345 Park Avenue. A building that housed the NFL, I believe, and a couple of financial companies. Thinking that the target was the NFL.
Yeah.
For reasons we're going to find out in a few minutes. A trigger alert for anyone that gets triggered on these things. Just know that some of the stuff in here may or may not be graphic. But let's take a look.
Investigators say they've found a second note from the gunman in the deadly New York City mass shooting. Police say they found the note at the shooter's home in Las Vegas. Sources tell ABC News it was in part an apology to his parents. And we're learning new details about the attack as well and the victims who lost their lives. ABC's Eka Jachi is here in New York with more on that. So, what are we learning about this apology note that the shooter wrote to his parents?
That's right. So investigators, they're still combing through all the evidence that they can find about Tamura, and they've led themselves to Las Vegas, where this entire incident began. So they went through his home, in which he owns, and they found that second note which law enforcement sources say partially was an apology to his parents. Now, authorities are still reviewing the content for further insight into Tamura's actions and possible triggers for his actions. They believe that his primary target was the NFL headquarters that was located on 345 Park Avenue. And they do this because they've seen the extensive references, not only in that second note, but that first note. Remember, investigators found that 3-page note on his person that essentially accused the NFL of concealing the dangers of football-related head injuries. Obviously, he claimed he suffered CTE that is not able to be determined while he's still alive. Nevertheless, investigators are also discovering that he had several mental health crises back in Las Vegas, where he lives, once in 2022, another in 2024. They also know that he still maintained his CCW license, his concealed carry license, that the Las Vegas Police Department gave him in 2022, despite Nevada's red flag laws that were instilled in 2019. But again, the police, they're still working to understand his actions and whether or not anybody assisted him in this back home. But again, back for the NFL part, there's still no link between Tamura and the NFL from what investigators are looking at.
Now, officials say he was targeting NFL headquarters, but ended up in a different office because he got on the wrong elevator. What more are investigators saying in terms of the actual timeline of what happened here, how he pulled off this attack?
Well, essentially, the entire incident started when Tamura walked into that lobby at 345 Park Avenue. That's when he immediately shot an off-duty NYPD officer, and then he shot another woman that was taking cover. Now, he fired several shots in the lobby. That's according to law enforcement sources and surveillance video, injuring others, then shooting a security guard at the elevator bank. This is where investigators say he made what apparently would be labeled a mistake in his mind, him wanting to go to the NFL headquarters. Unfortunately, instead, ending up at Rudin Management, where more injuries and another unfortunate fatality happened. But law enforcement, first responders, after that, they locked down and evacuated the building. We saw that video where several people were exiting the building with their hands up in the air, and they're still trying to obviously discover, determine, and look through all of the evidence to just find out what exactly triggered this entire attack, Diane.
And what about the victims? What's the latest on them and their backstories here?
Right. So we do know that first off-duty police officer was 36-year-old Didaru Islam of the NYPD. He was a Bangladesh immigrant that immigrated to the United States. He served at the NYPD's 47th precinct in the Bronx for 3.5 years. He was working as an off-duty security officer at the time when he was killed. He survived by his wife, who's 8 months pregnant at the time of the shooting. He has 2 young sons. We know about Wesley LePatner. She's the Blackstone executive. She's survived by her husband and 2 children. We know Julia Hyman, which sources are starting to uncover, 27-year-old Julia Hyman. She was killed on the 33rd floor after the shooter mistakenly accessed the Rudin Management where she works. We know about Alan Etienne. He's one of the building security guards. He was fatally shot while serving his security role in the torso. And we also know that another individual is injured, an NFL employee. His name right now is being withheld. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, mentioned him in a statement yesterday, Diane.
All right, Eka Jachi, thank you.
Okay, John asked me to step in for a second. Dave?
Our local police department in...
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I put something on the thread the other day. You know, I don't know about Derek. I'm sure he might have done it before. I'm not sure, but I've done those overtime details and guarding buildings like that in Manhattan, and we had 5. It was either 5 detectives or 4 cops and a sergeant. Okay. They only had that one guy there, the one kid there, 3.5 years on, okay, and usually for that kind of building with all of those important banks and corporations up in there, and NFL headquarters, you gotta have more You got to have more security than that. You got to have more than that. I don't want to. I don't want a Monday morning quarterback, man. But it seems like nobody saw that guy walking in. Okay, nobody saw him walking in. Now, when I did it back in the day, they put one of us at the door, one of us near the elevator, but we were all in the lobby. We were all in the lobby, and they put a couple of near the second elevators, stuff like that, and they had a guy roaming around where the doors are. Okay, and the sergeant was like, he wouldn't scratch it because the sergeant was on overtime too, so and then we just went home. After things shut down, we went home, but we waited till everybody got the building. We went home. But this young man, I'm going to go on a limb here. I played college football, so this is why I'm going to go on a limb. This young man played high school football, and I saw film of him. I watched all the film of him. He's a pretty damn good player, but he had numerous collisions, according to his old high school teammates. Numerous collisions. Okay, he had when that autopsy comes back, you're going to see CTE in his brain. I'm telling you right now, you're going to see it. Even though he was able to drive here from Vegas, okay, know what he was going to do. Okay, he knew he had mental issues. Okay, CTE, you can just explode at any minute. You can come back to normal at any minute. You can explode again at any minute. Somebody says the wrong thing to you, you might go off. Okay? And none of us knew about that when I played college ball. I was the lead blocking fullback. Take some aspirin to get your ass back in there. Okay? And the one lady, after he killed everybody downstairs, the one lady, the elevator doors opened up. He let her walk. She must be traumatized like I don't know what today. Okay, she must be losing her mind right now. You see a rifle pointing at you, a long gun pointing at you, and he says, "All right, get out of here." Okay, but for those important businesses to be up in there and those corporations to be up in there, you got to have more than that, man. I'm sorry, you got to have more. Okay, that young man probably didn't even see it coming. He turned and boom, he went down, man. And they carried him out on television. Some dragging him out, and the security officer dragged him out. He was trying to hide. After the cop went down, he was trying to hide, and the guy walked over to him and put him out of here. You know, and this really bothered me. It bothered me to my core, man. What happened to these people, man? It bothered me to my core. Okay, and it just devastated me, man. And I'm like, I was thinking, what, you trying to be cheap on the overtime? I mean, what are you trying to do? That kid didn't have a chance. That guy walked in with that M4 rifle, and he left the loaded pistol in the car. I mean, but that young man, he's suffering from some bad football injuries, man. I tell everybody right now, mamas, don't let your babies grow up to play football. I tell them that. You played this shit. I know I did, but I know now if I would have done it again, I'd have took the baseball scholarship instead. Because that shit is bad news, man. I don't know if anybody on here has had a couple of series of concussions. I had. I stopped my oldest son from playing at West Virginia Wesleyan. He got a grade 2 concussion, and I went down there and put a stop to it. After they cleared him at Morgantown University Hospital, Morgantown University Hospital, they cleared him, and I said, "You're not playing again. That's it." He agreed. And just the unfortunate thing, they got him traveling through Colorado on video. They got him traveling through the Midtown Tunnel at 4:30 in the afternoon. I mean, come on, man. And nobody knew where he was going, man. But he blamed the NFL for holding back on those testing years ago, because they didn't want to pay those injured players, those retired players, money and get them the medical attention that they needed. Junior Seau, one of the greatest linebackers ever, blew himself away on his own couch. He had bad CTE when they studied his brain. Blew himself away. His mother is still devastated. Okay, Alonzo Spellman, big defensive tackle for the Cowboys and a few other teams. Okay, He's mentally ill today. 6'7", 290 pounds. And one time he was barricaded in his own house, and they had to call up Mike Singletary to come talk to him to get him out. CTE. It's serious, man. I'm telling you right now, it's serious. It's getting worse because these players are bigger and faster. And even in high school, they're bigger and faster. We didn't have all that in high school. They're bigger and faster now, and they stick and they hit hard. They like grown men playing football now out on that high school field, all trying to get to one place they want to go, NFL. And I felt so horrible about this incident, man. But when they said this kid had numerous concussions, man, I told my oldest son, I said, CTE, man. CTE, man. That's some bad shit to have, man. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. Once your brain is rattled around in your damn head like that, there ain't nothing you can do about it. You could be normal all day. You could go sit in the church, praise the Lord. But then somebody triggers you outside, it's over. Look at that sniper that was in the military over there and they made that movie about him. Okay? I mean, it's just crazy, man. And I don't know how you could be held in a mental institution and still be able to have a gun. That's where we fucked up at, right there. That's where the country and the government fucked up at, right there. Just keep giving these kids with these people, folks with mental issues, let them just go ahead out and buy a gun, or go ahead out, put one together and build one. Because I understand they might have built this one. A friend gave them a couple of parts for it, and they built it. You know, so I'm done. I'm just a little devastated, man, from this, man. That young man had two baby boys, two boys, and another baby on the way, man. And all his family gonna get is like what, $275,000 or $300,000. That's it. You know, $300,000 for a life that should still be here. I'm done.
Will, was your hand up?
Just real quick, Dave asked a question. How can someone with that documented history still maintain possession or acquire guns? North Carolina just did a legislative override of a governor's veto to remove any prerequisite screening for the purpose of concealed carrying a firearm. So now there's no prerequisite screening for anything to own, purchase, or carry a concealed firearm in the state of North Carolina. So just let that sink in for a minute.
That's crazy. That's crazy. One of you guys.
No, wait, that was on party lines, Republicans with the supermajority veto override power.
That just doesn't endanger cops on patrol. That endangers retired cops who want to take action to stop something. And some fool over here with a mental illness, man, he might think he's being a hero and wipe out the retired cop. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Let me go with Jim. Somehow Derek fell off. We'll make sure he's still in line. I got Jim, Derek, Cheech, and D.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to go right into gun control from that. So you guys were just bringing it up. I could spend the rest of the show on this topic, as you well know. But two things jump out at me. One, again, an AR-15, an assault weapon that is only used to kill. It's the only reason it exists is to kill. Bulletproof vests do not stop AR-15s. Go right through a bulletproof vest and kill you. So every police officer that's okay with an AR-15 should start second guessing himself now, because your body armor isn't going to do a thing about it. The second part of that is what Will was just mentioning in South Carolina, but overall in the country, the only federal regulation against getting a license to own a firearm, federal regulation, is if you were involuntarily committed to a mental institution. So if you went into a mental institution on your own, you could own a handgun. Doesn't matter what you're in there for. It doesn't matter what your prognosis is. You can own a handgun. I don't know how many things have got to happen in this country to at least, can't we just get that? Can't we just get to, if you have psychological or emotional problems, you cannot own a firearm? Can't we all agree on that? But apparently not, as Will just said. The Republicans in South Carolina, they don't want any regulation of any kind for any reason to stop you from getting a handgun. I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore, people. I just don't understand how anybody could think. You can't tell me that every single Republican in this country really believes that nonsense. So, I mean, how bad is it? What has to, I don't even know what happened. I mean, Parkland happened, and nothing seems to work to get people to understand that, no, you're not going to be able to take every gun off the street. No, bad guys will get guns. I know that. And yes, you could use a knife to kill somebody. I know that. But why can't we put a small dent in it by making a federal regulation across the country that has requirements on owning a handgun or any firearm for that matter? And for goodness sake, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. They are strictly a killing machine, and that's all they're good for. That's all I have.
Jim, I'd just like to comment on that as well, that in North Carolina, they banned even investigating a person, a prerequisite. I mean, you can't even see if a person is mentally ill or not. You don't even have the right to check that out. That seems very foolish. That seems very foolish. Is there an age? Will, is there an age? A minimum
I
wage?
want to say it's still 21 for a handgun, but if I'm not mistaken, a long gun you can be 18.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow. All right. See, Derek fell off, so when he comes on, we'll make sure we put him back in there. But Cheech and D.
Yeah, I agree with Jim 100%. These weapons should not be on the streets. There's no reason for them. There's no rhinoceros or elephants running our streets that we need to take down. Those are strictly for killing. And like he said, officers that are okay with it, I don't understand. I wanted to point out that one of the survivors was shot in the lobby. He, instead of calling 911 right away, he called his coworkers, and he was an NFL employee, and he called his coworkers to let them know that this guy was getting on the elevator and going up. So that was very heroic of him to do. Also, down here in the South, everybody's pro-gun, and you're going to take my guns away, and like we've always been saying, it's not about taking your guns away. It's just having red flag laws. Assault weapons, yes, we don't need those. Those should be taken away. But handguns, we should have red flag laws. The first thing they say is, well, if we all had guns, this wouldn't happen. Well, it did happen with an officer there in uniform with his bulletproof vest on, and he still got killed. So more people having guns is not the solution. The other thing is the mental health aspect. Everybody says, well, it's not a gun problem. It's a mental health problem. Well, guess what? A lot of the help for that is being cut by current administration. So what now? You're saying it's a mental health problem, but then we're allowing for mental health programs to be cut. I think it's going to get worse. That's my take on it.
All right, thanks, Cheech. Before we even go further, we want to welcome Mark Matthews back with us. I see he joined us. I think that's Mark Matthews. Anyone can verify that that's really Mark Matthews over there? Because It does sound, but listen, on a serious note, we are truly, truly glad that you're back. I'm sitting over here. I was kind of like messed up because I know I need to be there, but couldn't be there and got a procedure in the morning that I got to go through. But it's good to see you back, Mark. We're praying for you, been praying for you. And God is a miracle worker. I could say that he's a miracle worker. Anyone else have anything to say to Mark before I turn it over to Derek? Derek, you were next, so you'll go after we finish talking about Mark real quick. Anybody else?
If I could just jump in, I just want to say thanks to everybody. I kind of put the phone down during this and kind of concentrated on what I needed to and stuff like that. I definitely felt all the prayers, all the thoughts, and I definitely appreciate it. I went from 204 to 177 pounds, but I don't need surgery. So if I can get Donald to get me back in the gym and show me where the punk bench is, I can start working back to my old self. But I definitely felt the love. I read a lot of the texts, even though I didn't respond. So I just want you to know they weren't ignored. They weren't, forgotten. And I just want to thank everybody. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it too. And the only thing I'm gonna change your diet a little bit. You go on to white meat now. Can't go with that red meat. You go on white meat now. We're gonna get you some white meat up in there. Okay. Thanks again, Mark. Again, we're glad you're back. All jokes aside, we're truly glad that you are back. And don't worry about weight, because that's gonna come back. Don't worry about that. That's gonna come back. And even your strength's gonna come back. But so just right now, worry about taking care of yourself.
Can he eat crab to have a raw steak still?
Hey, Derek, you were next, and then Cheech and D, and then Will. You on mute, Derek? If you're talking to us, you on mute.
There we go. Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah, we were talking about the shooter in New York City, and obviously, very, very, very sad and sorrowful for the families that were affected by this, and including the shooter's family. But this paid detail unit work, I was never a fan of it, and I never did it. As soon as they created it, to me, I just thought it was backwards. Like if you look at what a New York City police officer makes now, when they reach top pay, they make around $63, $65 an hour. So a decent overtime rate for them would be, like that $93 to $99 an hour range. The paid detail unit pays $45 to $62 an hour. And obviously 15 years ago when I was still on the job, it was less. So to me, I never thought they paid enough. And you do it in uniform. You do it under the same rules that you have as though you were working your regular shift. And you can get disciplined as though you were working your regular shift. So you can get disciplined, you can get suspended, but you make less money and it's not pensionable. So I never liked it. I never did it. I never thought it was a good idea. And before I would do something like that, I would just go referee some basketball. And, I know most of you guys, all of you that were on Hempstead, Steve Wilson, his younger brother, Malachi. Malachi and I used to referee in a couple of the same leagues. And to me, I just felt like I didn't want to put myself that much at risk in uniform for less money. Not even just, I think at the time, the sergeants got about even pay, like if it was a regular day, but essentially that's overtime and you're not getting overtime pay.
Right.
And now the cops that are there, they're not even getting dollar for dollar for what they would make if they were normally working. So I always thought it was a bad idea. And I never even thought about it being unsafe. I just thought it was a bad idea monetarily. But this shows how unsafe it is as well. I know a lot of buildings in Manhattan, if there's not a lot of money in the building, when I say money, you know, like if they have jewelry or if they have a bank, they'll have heavy security. But if it's just an office building, a lot of them don't have heavy security because there's not really a lot of monetary value resting on the premises. And obviously something like this shows us that there's a lot more value than monetary value that they need to be concerned about. So again, sad for the families and including his, and you know, just my prayers for the families.
Absolutely. I'm glad. I never did understand that 'cause they were saying he was off duty, but then they promoted him. It was like, to me, it was like really confusing because I know we couldn't work. And Mark and them will be able to help me with this, though. I'm sure, but I know we couldn't work off duty in uniform, could we? Oh, I said, I don't remember that being happening, but I guess New York City had their own rules that they could do that. I know that wasn't. I don't think that was there when I was there, Derek.
It wasn't. It started. It started maybe around like 2007 or 2008.
I was retired.
And,
I was retired.
Yeah. It started around 2007, 2008.
Okay.
And they came out with this new unit called the Pay Detail Unit, and different places, you know, there were like several movie theaters that would hire, you know, they'd notify the Pay Detail Unit supervision, and then they had a list of the officers that wanted to work. They would email the officers a list of the jobs each week, and then the officers could pick. I'm going to switch to the computer now.
Okay.
And let me get rid of this.
Take now.
Okay. See? Okay, that should be better now. But yeah, they started it that weekly they would come out with a list of the jobs that were available, and the officers could go online and choose from the list. And there were a lot of people that wanted to do it because, you know, if you didn't get to the list quickly enough, you wouldn't get to pick the jobs that you wanted to work. But I never thought it was a good idea. I didn't want to work on my day off for less money than I would make on a regular work day, so I just wouldn't do it. But
okay.
It's unsafe as well, and again, not pensionable, and you can get in trouble the same way you would if you were working a regular day. So, not good.
All right. Okay, I just removed the other one. Cheech, D and Will. What? Cheech, you on mute?
I went already.
It's D turn.
Oh, you went already?
Yeah, I went already.
Okay, so it's D and Will, and then Mark.
Really quick, when we play these videos, I like to give a little context. I can't put my hand up, so you know, while I'm running the video. So I just want to give a little context because not everybody, although this was all over the news here in the Northeast and some other places where people are watching. So I just wanted to give a little more of the details. The perpetrator in this case drove from Vegas to New York. Took him 2 days to drive. So most of us know he was driving the whole time. He was on a mission. He double parked his car. Now, anybody been in New York, knowing double parking, any kind of parking is impossible now with congestion pricing. So he was able to double park his car, and he just left the car, doors open. Walked around the corner with this AR type, they say M4 AR type weapon with a jacket on. Remember that day it was 100+ degrees here. So we know he was on a mission. Approached that building, the officer, he approached first. Then there was a woman that was hiding. He approached her next. Then the security guard let the woman off the elevator. Again, he got on the wrong bank of elevators. Anybody in New York knows you can't just get on an elevator and go to your floor. That's gone. Those days are the past. There's a few buildings like that left, but normally there are banks. So he got on an elevator, went straight past where he was trying to go up to the 33rd, and when he there was a woman coming out when he was going in. That's the woman he let go. He just said go on, and on the floor when the windows open, he approached another woman there that didn't make it with the firearm. Just wanted to give a little context. I was going to talk about the pay detail before Derek did a great job in talking about that. So people didn't understand off duty, on duty. So I wanted to sort of explain that, but Derek took care of that greatly. Dave even talked about the mental illness. Here's the thing, and here's the thing with law enforcement. I got a lot of law enforcement officers on the screen, probably a lot of guys watching. If somebody's bound and determined to do something like this, there's nothing you can do. And I say that because I want you to think about that when you see other videos and you rah, 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 shish, boom, bah. You got to understand somebody that decides, and they get to jump on us all the time because they know who we are and what we're there to do. We don't know. We have to figure it out. And by the time we figure out, a lot of times it's game over. Especially when you talk about, like Jim talked about, an AR type weapon. There's no protection. There's no bulletproof, glance off your shoulder. If they're going to approach you with that kind of weapon, it's going to exact its use, its intended use. I say that to say because we're watching a lot of videos and everybody's watching us, and you got to understand that's the perspective of which we did the job, and that's the perspective of the law enforcement officers out there. We understand people have mental illness, but mental illness doesn't negate my survival. All right, we want to say mental illness, and we get into that conversation. That's a great conversation. Deal with mental illness every day, all day, but the survival of the police officer. So I'm just looking. What the reason I said that is, you have to understand what law enforcement officers, whether they're working on duty, off duty, paid detail, are dealing with on a daily basis, and it might give you some perspective, some understanding of why things go from 0 to 100 so quickly, because you don't know what you're dealing with. And I just wanted to say that. I wanted to also give my condolences to the family of all of the I highlighted them in the beginning, but our moment of silence. Everybody in there was everybody involved in the incident that lost their life. And let's keep in prayer so many more people that got injured. We always talk about the people that die that day, and people will forever be affected when something like this happens. So let's just keep them all in our prayer.
Real quick, Carl Saunders wants to know. He says, I don't know how he missed the elevator. I thought he did a dry run. Did he do a dry run?
I didn't hear.
Not that I'm aware of.
There's no way to do a dry run.
I don't think he did either. I think yeah, not like that. I think he rode up to New York City from Vegas, double parked, got out the car with his long gun, walked in the building, and started shooting.
Right.
Now one thing I heard, I'm sorry, Derek. One thing I did hear, because Dave said something about one guy or one here, I heard there was enough guns in that lobby that he shouldn't have gotten that far. That's what I've heard, but I don't know anything. But what were you gonna say, Derek?
I was gonna say, Will asked if he shot when he got upstairs, or did he shoot when he entered the building? I believe the police officer was in the lobby.
In the lobby.
Yeah. So he started shooting once he got in the building. And as Dee was saying, if someone's gonna do something like that, if a person doesn't care about dying, you really have no defense, because the primary defense that officers have is the fear of the perpetrator, the fear that the perpetrator has of what the officers are going to do. If you come prepared to die, there is no defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah. So Carl says again, no, he came before. Well, I got to find that call. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Didn't hear it.
We have to look that up. We don't really want to state that if none of us have read that. On the information we have is what we've received also, that he came right from Vegas. And he double parked, went inside, and did what he had to do. But I don't see nothing about a dry run. But we'll look it up. Will and Mark.
So I'd like to point out two things. The first thing is the priority of security. Now, this is a building that houses, he was looking for the NFL officers. In our environment, people prioritize security in one of two scenarios, either dignitary or protecting assets, money. You've got a building here that has people coming and going, and this gentleman showed up with a rifle. I don't know how he could have concealed it or what have you, but you mean to tell me that they didn't prioritize the safety and security of the folks in that building sufficient enough to either have a key card entry or some sort of lock entry where someone monitoring, in this instance, the security guard or the officer, to actually allow someone in the building rather than them just being able to walk in? So in my eyes, they weren't valuing the safety of the people in that building to begin with. So that's my first point. My next point is with regards to this CTE. Now, I know from looking at comments and everything, because this story has been everywhere, people have their feelings about it. They will characterize this young man in a lot of negative ways and say, well, he only played in high school and a little bit of college. He couldn't have possibly had CTE. Stop and ask yourself, why did he target the NFL? The movie Concussion put CTE on the map, up close and personal. And that movie didn't come out till 2015. This young man was 27. So at the time that movie came out, that young man was 17 years old, 10 years ago. So it didn't put concussions on the front page and expose the things that the NFL was doing to dismiss their accountability and their responsibility and even covering up to get players back out there. So you can imagine if it still hadn't been acknowledged in the NFL, how much longer would it take to get down to college, to get all the way down to high school? Those of us that have played, how many of us remember the season didn't start until you had your bell rung? Am I right or wrong? The season didn't start, whether you were doing Oklahoma one-on-one drills, the season didn't start in practice until you had your bell rung.
And that's what got you right about that, because Oklahoma drills gave you that concussion.
Correct. Yeah. So suffice it to say, however many times your bell got rung, looking at this group we got right here, however many times your bell got rung, on some level, there's a good chance that not only were we concussed, but we continued on.
Played through it.
Now, this young man, again, he came up during that era too, because again, concussions weren't prioritized until that movie came out. And I just looked it up. That movie came out in 2015. So for those individuals that might be listening and know somebody, and they want to speak ill of this young man and the choice that was made, or in this case, the actions that were taken, because I can't rightfully say that the choice was consciously made because of his most likely condition. Instead of looking at that, let's look at the way we're rolling this back and packaging up to say even the most mentally unstable of us or other legitimate reasons does not negate the fact that our Second Amendment allows for anybody to have a firearm. And the way that we have legislation moving in that direction to roll it back. And here's the funky part, y'all. On the one hand, you put firearms in the hands of more unstable people, but at the same time, you give greater justification that if that person comes in contact with law enforcement or comes in contact with a civilian, and the very same justification that they ignored to let them have firearms is justification that'll be used to take their life. Done.
Yeah, you're right. Jim, I see your hand.
I just want to add to that for anybody, any Second Amendment people that may be listening out there. The Second Amendment does not prohibit gun control. It does not prohibit gun safety laws. So, I mean, and one of the biggest Second Amendment or constitutionalists that the Supreme Court ever had said that, all of a sudden his name left me. He passed away. What was that, Kyle? I know you know it.
Scalia?
Thank you. Scalia, he mentioned that in the Heller case. You can make all the restrictions you want,
You can regulate.
Nothing to do with the Second Amendment. So anybody out there that's listening that thinks the Second Amendment means you can own guns no matter what, that is not what it says.
Okay, Mark. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I definitely got to, agree with what Derek said. He hit it right on the head. To work in uniform, but you don't get the benefits of being a police officer. You don't get the pay, and you can still get caught up in disciplinary. It just doesn't make sense, dollars to donuts. And you're taking your career and you're putting it at risk for even less money than if you were to be active, go out, make an arrest, and do it the other way. As far as, I forget who said it, but as far as if a person is determined to cause an injury or to do something, we have, and Kyle could probably tell you, we have millions of people who have orders of protection, but they don't understand. The order of protection only expands the rights of the victim for the perpetrator not to be around them. But there's no way in the world a piece of paper is going to stop a determined person from doing what they want to do. And it's the same thing with these guns. One of the worst things that the U.S. had to deal with in the against Japan was the kamikazes, because they didn't care. And even in the Middle East, once again, it's a holy war. They will give up their life in a heartbeat. And that changes the whole dynamic of how you can, as a police department, as a community, as a society, as a country, how you deal with those people, because it's something that there's no repercussions. I say sometimes, like even sometimes me and my grandson, we bump heads. And how do you discipline somebody who doesn't care? When he gets into that mood, there's nothing I can take away. There's nothing I can do. If you don't care, you don't care. So your strategy has to change, but it's not guaranteed that it's always going to work. Thanks, now.
And you're right, because again, if a person doesn't care, then there's no way of you putting fear in them, or there's no, as far as they're concerned, there's no repercussions. There's no consequences to my behavior. So they don't care, and that's usually what you'll find when a person does not care. That's the most dangerous person you want to deal with, is a person who just does not care. I don't care about this or about that. Then that's a dangerous person. Let me see. I didn't have anyone else on my list. Let me make sure I didn't, because I'm doing a few things right now. But let's go with Dave.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, Dave.
Just real briefly. This young man only had 3.5 years on the job. They started regulating the shit out of precinct overtime back in the day. When Giuliani came in, they started regulating cops overtime, and Bloomberg kept it low for cops. Not for us. They didn't have no choice. We had to pay us overtime. And a homicide, you got to pay. Okay? So any little bit of overtime that these young people can get, they're going to get it. Derek is right. But, in these young kids' minds who ain't even at top pay yet, any little bit of something they can get, they're going to try to take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a shame that a police officer would have to work so hard to maintain their family.
He got a kid. He got a baby on the way. Yeah.
In a city, in a state that the cost of living is so high.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing about Nassau and Suffolk County, I got you, Mark. One thing about Nassau and Suffolk County, they pay a little bit more than New York City, which is good. That's why New York City was losing a lot of cops to Long Island because of the pay scale. Mark?
Yeah, I just want to add in, Dave, you hit it right on the head. When most of us on here got on the job, things were different, and you could get overtime and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. I didn't realize that New York City had gotten that bad. But now that I think about it, that's why a lot of guys left. Not only that, but guys did their 20 and they left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's because they put the screws on them so badly that, guys had to scrape and do whatever they had. So, I take back what I said as far as the money over safety and stuff. Sometimes guys got to do what they got to do to feed their families. So you're right, Dave. That was a good point.
Listen, I'm not gonna say Jim's comment on the air because somebody may be listening to us.
I saw it.
But Jim, you are absolutely correct. You are 100% correct with that statement right there. Like, you got to be kidding. Mark and I both know how the police are where we live, and we live in that county you just spoke about. But we know how it is out here. Oh my goodness, it's well. Let me just leave that alone right now. D, we got a second video. This was about a police officer being arrested by ICE. Look, yo, a police officer being arrested by, that's it right behind you, Rich? Okay, let's go, D.
All right, this next video takes us to Boston. We know about all the ICE raids. I want everybody to pay attention. This is where they're going.
A local police department in Maine is being put on blast by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, accusing it of hiring an undocumented immigrant as a reserve officer.
ICE became aware of the Jamaican national after he allegedly tried to illegally purchase a gun. Now the town is firing back. NBC 10 immigration reporter Oscar Margain joining us live from Old Orchard Beach in Maine. Oscar?
Hey, JC, and ICE is saying that Old Orchard Beach police were the ones who basically knowingly broke the law in the hiring of this reserve officer who ICE says overstayed his visa. Now, the department said that they were only following the law and that it was actually ICE's parent agency, Homeland Security, the ones who approved the work permit in the first place. It's not the type of headline Margaret Jones expected to come out of her town of Old Orchard Beach.
To have this kind of incident come to my town is extremely upsetting and scary.
Luke Evans, a reserve police officer from Jamaica, was detained by immigration agents on Friday in the next town over. Evans was flanked by the ATF after allegedly trying to purchase a gun for his job, which the town says is not allowed by reserve officers. That's when ICE found out he had overstayed his visa in late 2023. The acting ICE director for Boston said in part, the fact that a police department would hire an illegal alien and unlawfully issue him a firearm while on duty would be comical if it weren't so tragic. The town's police chief pushed back, saying Evans was hired after he completed his I-9 work authorization, which was submitted to ICE's parent agency, Homeland Security. The work permit was approved by DHS on May 12, she said, with an expiration date of March 2030. The chief went on to say, our department and our community relied on the Department of Homeland Security's E-Verify program to ensure we were meeting our obligations.
Oh, it's certainly out of proportion, out of line.
Resident and visitors we spoke with feel like the police department is being bullied.
It's going to make Old Orchard Beach look bad.
Old Orchard Beach, with a population of 9,000, often sees an influx of up to 75,000 tourists this time of year. Evans was sworn in June as a temporary seasonal hire. The PD usually makes these hires ahead of the busy summer season. The state of Maine is one of a dozen that allows non-citizen residents to work in law enforcement.
I don't understand why anyone would accuse them of doing anything untoward.
Now, I asked Homeland Security specifically about the claims made by the police department that they were the ones who dropped the ball here, but they would not answer those specific questions. Now, the police department says it is currently reviewing the officer's employment. We still don't know if Evans remains in ICE custody. Reporting live in Old Orchard Beach in Maine, Oscar Margain, NBC 10 Boston.
Oh, okay. I see the hands done popped up. Let me go with Dave, Will, and Jim.
All right. This is what I'm going to do. Indeed. I'm going to start arresting ISIS ass when you come up to me with a fucking mask on and no shield showing. How's that? I'm going to start arresting them. Okay? Be a boss on the scene and say, nah, put cuffs on his ass. He didn't identify him, so we know who he is. Put cuffs on his ass. Okay? This is bullshit, man. This is that Tom Holman being an asshole. That's all it is. That town followed correct procedure. Yeah, they did. Come on, man. You black up there in Maine, you think they ain't following procedure? Stop. Come on. I'm done.
Well, didn't he did something that was not right, right? Trying to purchase a vehicle.
Yeah, but he probably, he probably didn't know the law or nothing like that. But I mean,
So
that ain't no reason to hook him up and take him to jail.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that he violated the department's policy.
Yeah.
Or maybe even the law.
Yeah.
I don't know, but not where I should be involved with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the department. That's the department command discipline, some shit, whatever they call it.
Well,
come on.
So in regards to that, and the news report may have gotten it a little bit confused, but they stated that the weapon that he was buying was for use in his capacity with that agency.
Right.
That was in the news report. So it wasn't like he was just arbitrarily buying a gun. He was supposedly, according to that report, buying a gun for use in his official capacity as a reserve officer with that agency.
Right.
So somebody had to tell him something for him to think that was going to be okay.
Yeah. So now I'm ready to go. Now I'm really going to go at it. Lock ISIS's ass up.
So shit. So the only real point, well, I shouldn't say the only real point, but the one that jumps out at me is this. So they want to come after the police department for hiring the individual that they determine that it is an undocumented immigrant, or as they like to say, an illegal alien. But interestingly enough, all these raids that they've done to round up all these people, and they have not gone after criminally or even admonished one employer who has not gone through any steps to validate. Well, I shouldn't say they haven't, but they clearly haven't gone through the steps that this department did to validate that the employee was eligible to be hired by them. Am I not the only one that finds out a little bit?
No, you're not the only one. All right. We got Jim, D, and Rich.
Yeah, let's just look at this for what it really is. I mean, the original idea, at least by this government, was they were going to round up and deport criminals that were here illegally. Now, let's look at some terminology for a second. First of all, in this case, overstaying your visa is not a crime. It's not a crime anyway. It's not a crime in federal law. It's not a crime in any kind of law. So classifying that as a criminal event is in of itself a bold-faced lie. Even people that enter the country illegally, those that go over the border, okay, there is a criminal statute of entering the country illegally, but you're not adjudicated a criminal till you have due process. And you have due process if you're on American soil. Everybody that's on American soil by constitutional right of due process. That means a trial, a lawyer, a jury, and the whole. So if for anybody to say we're deporting criminals that haven't gone through due process is a lie. They're not criminals. You can't be a criminal unless you've been adjudicated criminal. You need due process for that. And you can't be a criminal if you've overstayed your visa. That's like going through a red light. It's a violation of law. Are you a criminal? Are you a criminal if you went through a red light? No. It's the same concept. This government has taken its immigration law and has really made it a fascist state of just rounding up people that they want to, and even putting a bounty on it. 3,000 people a day. The Homeland Security director wants 3,000 people a day. So the people in the trenches, if they're short a number of, if they're going to take anybody, they're going to go into the pizza shop and grab the guy in the back making pizzas just to make the number. It is outrageous. It's going to create something in this country that we've been talking about for a long time, a backlash the likes we've never seen.
Yeah, Carl Saunders also says, why is it legal for ICE, he says ISIS, but ICE to have their face covered? It's not legal. Right? Am I right?
I mean, so? It could just be violating a policy of the department, but I'm not sure if it's illegal or not, but
yeah,
it shouldn't be permitted either way.
In fact, there's something in Congress right now as we speak to make that illegal.
To make it illegal.
Right. But right now, there is no, there's no statute for it. But there is something in Congress, and you could bet your dollars that the Republicans will never pass it.
The identifying yourself typically apply in local and municipal or at levels below federal. As far as identifying yourself with your name on there and everything. Other than that, federal level, you know, they sit at the top of the food chain. So,
oh my goodness. D and Rich.
Okay, really quickly. Being involved in the hiring process for the New York State Police and having dealt with people with varied immigration statuses, it's not that simple. We want to make it, he's here illegally, no such thing. You have to go verify. You have to go look at how their position or their status, if you will, was obtained and how it's not just having papers. We need to stop that. You don't have citizenship or not. It doesn't work that way. Get that out of your mind. There's so many levels of how somebody may attain citizenship, and then that's verified through a check has to be given through what was ICE, but ultimately a part of Homeland Security. So if he's hired based on how he's hired, a work visa, whatever, there's so many different ways it has to be verified. Now let me say something about him purchasing a firearm. He didn't purchase the firearm. He went to see if he could get a firearm. Now, you and I are online every day. There's all these ways of getting permits and concealed carry and all these different rules. By you going into a sports store or gun store and inquiring on how to buy a firearm doesn't make you violate any processes. Have we forgotten? If I don't buy the thing, they told me I couldn't buy the thing, I go home. Why am I a bad guy for going in? If I go to buy, I don't smoke, but if I go to buy cigarettes and they tell me you can't buy cigarettes, I'm not a criminal.
Right.
I didn't know I couldn't buy cigarettes. So I think we have to think of things in context. And somebody said something earlier, and I'm just gonna say one word: the boogeyman. Anybody see the boogeyman here? When you start making certain statements and they make it the boogeyman, this thing, right? All of y'all have children, and the boogeyman was everything bad, was under the bed. That's what they're doing with this. I don't like to play the race card. But I'm about to deal. Listen, you have thousands of law enforcement agencies around the country, and you pick this provisional guy. Most of us know law enforcement. This summer provisional guy in Oshkosh, I'm sorry, people in Boston, but Oshkosh, Maine or Rhode Island, wherever it is, come on. I see through it. I mean, I see exactly what you're doing, and I see exactly why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
My only problem is, stop acting like you're not doing it. You're trying to make a boogeyman here. So now what happens with everybody that looks like that young gentleman? What happens now?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to throw Don across the hood of his car because he looked like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right now because this is what happened in Maine. We got to pay attention to what is being done here. It's not new stuff. They're just putting a little different sauce on it. It's the same old thing. They're creating a boogeyman. And a lot of boogeymans in this room. I'm scared of all y'all.
I'm gonna share a video on our personal chat where my wife sent me where this black customs officer was driving in Alabama from Birmingham to someplace, and she got pulled over in full uniform and was written a ticket for following too close and for not talking while on the phone. She's like, you know, and she's in tears. I'm gonna share with our chat though. But it's like 16 minutes long. That's why I wouldn't put it on the air right now. But it's like 16 minutes long. But it's ridiculous. When I watched this, and I'm glad you said that, Jim, because I wouldn't want to offend you as well. But when I looked at this, the only reason why they did that to her was because she was black, and she was a black female, and so she was really expressing her case that she understand what black men go through because what she went through as a black female in uniform, full uniform, federal uniform, and they gave her a hard time. When you see the video, you'll be like, I can't believe this is what really was going on. Rich.
Yes, thank you. I totally agree with Jim. Jim stole a little of my thunder I was going to talk about, but all this comes down to is governmental overreach, and the fact of the matter is the gentleman that's behind me is a victim of that. The department followed, their procedures to make sure this guy was okay to be hired, and they relied on that information to be correct, which they did. But the illegal part of this whole thing is what the DHS is doing. They're doing a lot of illegal stuff to people, but there's no, the governmental overreach is deemed okay. And as you can see with certain medias, I just went through the list of things regarding him, different stories, and one will say, illegal alien illegally tried to get a gun, then they'll say, well, the department verified he was okay. So the story just changes. It's just that people take a side of this and appeal, and whatever appeals to them, they run with it. So he's a victim of that. And I believe he's a victim of that because of the skin color, so, they want to demonize anybody that they want to snatch up, and they get away with it because there's no laws governing what they do. And if there is a law, they override it. If you're here legally, they can just say, well, you know what? We've decided we're going to cancel your visa. And then what do? Now with them, you're illegal. So this is the sticky wicket that the DHS, ICE is doing to people, victimizing them and getting away with it because there's no oversight. They follow no rules. That's why they're walking around. You can't identify them. They're masked up, no names, and they're snatching people. But I'm just wondering whether they get in a situation one time where they go to snatch somebody up, they snatch the wrong person, and because they're all masked up and there's no identification, there's gunfire. Mm-hmm. We could get to that, because how they're operating. There's no rules for them, and they decide who they want to snatch up, and they make whatever they do, it's okay, even when they're wrong. And what was it? People being deported to third-party countries? I mean, it's not bad enough that you get deported. You can't go back to the country you came from. You go into a country that you may not be able to speak the language. They don't, you don't know anything. You have no resources, and you're being sent there. I mean, what they're doing to people is atrocious, and it's governmental overreach that's not without oversight. The Congress aren't doing their job controlling this because they should, and people are being hurt by it. Thank you.
I see you, Will. I see you pointing. You got something to say? Not a hand up.
Was just agreeing with what Rich was saying, but if you don't mind me, I'm gonna take a comment from one of our viewers, Mr. Bowden.
Okay.
And it says, you old guys who were cops in the black and white era didn't have to cover your face. Today, ICE can be victims of doxing if they don't hide their face. It is to protect the ICE agents. It's easy to identify people if you have a photo of their face.
Bullshit.
Okay, I'm gonna ask our tech guy, D.
Bullshit.
Help us understand what doxing is so that our listeners can make some reference to this.
Okay, just a quick first grade explanation. Usually, you can get someone's face and you can find out who they are and where they are. I'm not going to go to Richard's unless you want me to talk to Richard's comment, but I'm going to tell you what the dox is. It's very easy now with face recognition. We talked about that last week and the week before to find out who someone is. Very easy. It's not hard. I do it all the time. If I have a picture, give me a picture of the person. I can find out who they are, where they live. But I'm going to say this as an ICE agent. So what? And
thank you. Thank you.
And
bullshit. Thank you.
So
how many goddamn death threats I had? And the motherfucker told me what they knew I lived in Freeport. Shit. I was like, come on. Shit. I want to hear that bullshit they getting doxxed. Fuck those pussies.
Oh, okay.
You hear me talking, hillbilly boy?
Move the dead. Move the dead. That's part of the business. Go work at McDonald's.
Yeah,
I ain't never cover their faces when I was on the job. Never.
Never.
So we didn't cover our faces where we worked every day, and family lived in the same neighborhood. You know, in Hempstead, for the most part, a lot of us lived right there in Hempstead.
Thank you. I'm tired of that shit. Everybody make excuses for them, man.
I'm with you, Dave, but I'm using a different language, but I'm definitely with you. And I see Derek is up there with you. Come on, Derek.
Yeah, there's over 750,000 police personnel in America. Any police officer can be doxxed. Anybody. I mean, everybody out there does an unpopular job. It's an unpopular line of work. There are people that dislike you based on you being in a uniform, having never met you before. You can be doxxed. All of us did it. All of us that are on here, except for Kyle and Jerry, did it. And hey, if you get doxxed, you get doxxed. It is what it is. ICE agents are no more special than any other law enforcement personnel that works anywhere in the world. That's it. They're law enforcement. That's it. Except they're not really enforcing the law. They're cherry picking people and kidnapping people and doing things like that. We actually had to see things. We had to investigate. They're not doing any of that stuff. They're kidnapping people. But, you know, they're covering their faces because they know what they're doing is wrong. And they feel that something could happen to their families. And the likelihood is it probably would, because you're tearing people's families apart and they're not going to stand for it if they know who you are. That's it.
Man, you said it, Derek. You said it. You said it. Mark?
Yeah, this question is really for Jim. He's our local historian. Jim, was there ever a time in the world that that the government had its own secret police force that could do things without question? Just help me out. I don't know.
Well, I think if you looked in the history books around 1933, probably Germany, maybe you may find some similarities.
Who? Go ahead, AC.
I'm trying to remember who was that. What was that?
Brown shirts.
What group was that?
Well, don't leave our public hanging like that. You gonna ask that question. We have the answer, but let them know what the answer is.
That is exactly how Hitler's Nazi Germany started. Exactly what you see today in America is exactly how it started. No difference whatsoever. Find a common enemy, and there in Germany it was Jews. In America, it's immigrants. You just go right by the playbook, step by step by step by step. And we're if not there yet, we are so close to a fascist government, it's scary. Consider this. they being the federal government, has no oversight whatsoever.
Right.
Congress won't act. The Supreme Court won't act. They run the Department of Justice, which means the FBI and all the federal law enforcement agencies are under their thumb. There is no checks or balances left in the United States federal government. Scary thought, but we're there.
You
Back to a king God.
Mm-hmm. I see you, Will.
Jim, I'm gonna have to respectfully take you a little further back. Before Hitler was even an itch in his daddy's pants, in the US, this country had slave patrols. And a lot of those cats went around with hoods on. And they were doing exactly what you were talking about, snatching up people, kidnapping them for either manufactured, perceived, but certainly just because of the color of their skin. And I'm done.
Well, I would like to respond to that. I want to respond to that because not only are you correct, but if you study Nazi Germany, you'll find out Hitler used that time as a model for his Nazi movement.
Also, Will, the hoods didn't come to after slavery was over.
You on mute? You on mute, Will? You on mute? And Will, long before you came here, Derek was always talking about slave patrol.
You know, when the conversation comes up about the origins of law enforcement in this country, that discussion doesn't want to be had. That's one of the reasons why we are always under the microscope, because people that know that this profession, that's where it comes from. And we are probably the only profession I can think of that was overtly rooted in racial bias.
Wow.
So that's why we always are going to have an uphill climb. And it doesn't take but one incident to pull us back down 10 steps.
And you're so right. Oh my goodness. Whew. All right. Anybody else for anything?
Let me just add this real quick. I believe back in Germany, there was who was a true Aryan. And I think now that's been transposed to us as who's a patriot. It's the same thing as who's a true Aryan.
Good thought. Good thought, man.
And basically, I think, what was it? The ideal of a true Aryan back in Germany was actually blonde hair, blue eyes. Even the dark-haired ones weren't the true Aryans. And we have the same process going on in America now. And it's hardcore. And people are suffering. And just like I said, and Jim said, the lack of oversight by our government, the two other branches of government has ceded their power to the executive. And they ceded their power to a criminal executive, a corrupt executive, a racist executive. And this is the sad state of affairs that we're involved in now. And people are being hurt by this. You know, when I talk about this, I'm very passionate because I love my country. I'm a patriot. I serve this country. You know, and I'm foreign lands, on foreign soil, and I was lucky to make it back. But the point of seeing my country being upside down with this corrupt, sexual offender, greedy,
pick one,
white nationalist. All these qualities that would negate you being a president when it was legitimate. Everything's allowed. There are no borders. There are no laws. The rule of law doesn't matter. We've never been this powerless. You know, people can get up and march as we've done and march down streets. But what does that really do? What happens after that? It's still status quo. And I'm not saying it's fruitless. People are upset. They have an avenue to protest. But what does that protest actually get done? All we can do now is hope that the elections next year will remove the Republicans
and that the Democrats will step up and actually do their jobs and remove the corruption from our government. Thank you.
All right, we got the last two. It'd be Derek and Cheech.
Yeah, and as far as the Democrats stepping up, could anyone here answer a question for me? Who's the leader of the Democratic Party right now?
Donald Butler.
Right. There is no one. The two most prominent people in the Democratic Party are probably
Hakeem Jeffries.
No, the one from New Jersey.
Booker.
Yeah,
Cory Booker and Jasmine Crockett. And believe me, neither one of them would get voted in for president because the masses wouldn't vote for them, even though they're probably just as qualified, if not more qualified than anyone else. But I find it interesting when the term white nationalist is brought up because, first of all, the nation didn't belong to white people originally. And secondly, that's another term that they use, they being the bigots, to not use the word bigot. They're bigots, they're haters, they're racists, and they want to make it seem like it's out of love for their country, a country that's not originally theirs, a country that they don't give a shit about. It just happens to be where they live. And Trump cares least of all about it because if he was such a fucking patriot, why didn't he go to Vietnam instead of ducking out of it 5 times? He's a 5-time draft dodger. He's constantly criticizing immigrants, but he married 2 of them. 2 of his 3 wives are immigrants. 4 of his 5 children are born to immigrant women, but he doesn't like fucking immigrants. There's no such thing as a white nationalist, not in America anyway. So I can't stand it. And the whole thing is just frustrating to me. And somebody in the Democratic Party needs to step up and be a leader, but right now, there's no leader to the party. So I'm fearful that in 2026, things are going to continue the way they are.
Wow, Derek, I hear you. I feel your frustration, and I feel the same way over on this end. When I look at some of the stuff that's going on, I am so annoyed at what's going on. But then what can we do? They hold all the cards.
Yeah, but we don't have to have a president. We don't have to have a Democratic president. All we have to do is take back Congress. And then we can control whoever the president is or remove him. So they get in 26 and take over the Congress. We remove Trump. He's impeached again and removed. That problem is solved. Now we just got to get a quality leader at that point.
If we can get there, I mean, there is an answer. And listen, and even with that, I'm still ultimately leaning on God. So don't I don't want anyone to think that I'm like sitting over here scared to death. Listen, I'm ultimately leaning on God, but I'm just saying that what we have to deal with, even what you just said, Rich, we have to wait until the midterms to even get there. Until then, what?
If there is an election.
If there is an election. Say that again too, AC.
Yeah.
The
way things going now might not be an election.
Gerrymandering. Texas.
That was on our list, but we don't. Well, it was on my list. I'm sorry, it wasn't on our list.
Did you get the Cheech?
Listen, our time is up. Did anyone have anything else to say? I just wanted to say this that it's really annoying to watch what's going on and to watch how people are being hurt behind all of this. And what you can see with ICE is that they are profiling, racially profiling. If you look Hispanic, you're getting stopped. Blacks not as much, unless they hear you speak and hear that Caribbean accent or African accent.
Right, the patois, right?
Mm-hmm. You hear that accent, they're coming after you for that too. So
not going there no more.
It's racial profiling. What'd you say, AC?
They're not going there no more.
Well, they're not going to Little Haiti anymore. No, they're not going there. No.
Listen, don't y'all say they're not going there, because that may make they go over there overloaded. You just never know. I just don't trust. I just don't trust this government. I don't trust this government. Jerry, I see I see the finger, Jerry. I see the finger.
I just want to make one comment. I just came back from Tampa, Florida, and everybody speaks Spanish down there, basically. And when they were looking at my ID, because I was traveling, and my middle name is Carmen, guys, Carmen. Do you know, did they ask me, are you Spanish? I was like, come on, guys, no. But, because seriously, they were the TSA guys were like, just because of my middle name. And my daddy liked Carmen Jones, which is a movie from before y'all were born. But anyway, which is why Carmen is my middle name. But for real, they were like, Carmen?
At least your name ain't Cleopatra Jones. Shit.
Yeah, but Carmen is a Spanish lady's name. So anyway, just saying.
All right, listen, thank you guys so much. Let me see, make sure I'm not. Am I missing anybody on Facebook? Will, I know you keep up with that. And Cheech, but Cheech got the Wi-Fi from Kmart this week, so that's why.
Yeah, we had a couple of comments about potentially some upcoming pardons for Ghislaine Maxwell and Sean Combs. And then Karen Caffey says, yeah, even if we take over, or the Democrats take over in the midterms, the removing Trump means getting JD, unless they can carry out that whole impeachment process for the bulk of his second half of his term, so that JD doesn't get a chance to get a foothold.
Wow, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of Trump and get JD Vance. That's a win for us, y'all. We're in the same place. Yeah, we're in the same place. That was sarcastic. I'm just talking junk, AC. We're in the same place.
They need, if it goes that way, they need for the impeachment process to be carried out for his entire second half of his term. That way he has to focus on defending against that, and it hurts his ability to carry out his ideological agenda. And then by the time his term is up, whether the impeachment's successful in removing him, the fact that he's been through that, it tarnishes JD. They got to find a whole new body to try to run for them.
And lastly, I would say JD was the one that said that Trump was America's Hitler. And stupid ass made him VP.
No.
If I was called America's Hitler, I wouldn't make him my second in commmmand. That shows you how much of a buffoon he is.
Trump is probably happy about that.
How much you hate America.
Right. Also, Peter Thiel and the people that are in charge of Project 2025, they are trying to forward JD Vance. Trump happens to be the name that everyone knew and was a fan of, so they knew that they could push him forward, but they ultimately want JD Vance to be the president because they control him financially.
Yeah, but
okay.
If we win Congress, we can override every fucking shit he don't want to sign.
Oh yeah, you could do anything. If you control Congress, you control this nation. So
that's what I'm saying.
So I got you loud and clear. I'm just saying, until then, what do? We got to suffer through this.
And, put me in there. I'll straighten it. Put me in there. I'll straighten this shit out.
And we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. Listen, thank you guys for joining us. We went over time by 4 minutes. And we're gonna call it quits tonight. I mean today. Okay. Thank you, Sister Karen Caffey. She's praying for me. She's praying for Mark and all of us.
Yeah.
JT, we're praying for JT. JT, he's watching us now. So JT, we're praying for you and your wife. I saw her post on Facebook, but we just want you to know that we are definitely praying for you. I'm praying for each of you. Cheech, we have not forgotten about you. We're still praying for Cheech and his family. We're praying to God that God will just cover you. God will cover you. You'll keep me in your prayers. I go in for a procedure tomorrow. I got to go into the hospital. That's what when I was getting up and got a couple of calls and what to do and all that stuff. And I'm gonna prepare for it now.
You gonna get out? You gonna get out one day?
Listen, I should be out tomorrow.
Yeah, good.
I should be out tomorrow now. I'm sure when Mark went up in there, he went in there for one day. And you just never know what's going to happen when you're in the hospital and you go under anesthesia or something. Mark didn't do any of that. I'm just saying that you just never know what doctors are going to find or what they're going to try to find or what they say they found. You just never know. But we're praying for each and every one of you. All right. And those who are on Facebook Live, we're praying for you as well. If no one else has anything else to say, I want to pray and close us out on this. All right, let us pray. God, our Father, we thank you again for being God and being God all by yourself. We thank you for what you've done for Mark Matthews. We thank you for allowing him to come back home. We're praying for Cheech and his dear family. We're praying to God for JT and his wife, Orlando. We're praying for anyone else that is going through anything, any type of situation, not just health, but even financial, even family, and even the church. Pray to God you will be with them and bless them and keep them as only you can do. We thank you now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Those on Facebook Live, we'll see you next week if it's God's will. God bless you and we'll see you.